3, 2, 1. All right, Bigfoot Society, we've got the privilege of talking with Mr. Cory Seymour from Seymour's Captive Cryptids. This guy is a super nice, awesome, talented artist that I got to meet at Crypticon. He's best known for his masks, I would say, but he's also best known for these adorable little squeeze plushy. I bought a Mothman, and it's very cool. And I gave it to my son, and he adored it because it has a little. Let's be frank, it's got a little squishy butt in the back, and what kid isn't a fan of that, right? You knew your audience,
right?
So how's it going, Cory?
It's going really well. How about yourself?
Oh, it's so good. We are both getting amped up, I would believe, for Monster Fest. I don't know if this is going to be out before it, but as a time of recording, we're only 10 days away, and I'm starting to be like, oh, man, we got a lot of stuff to do still. So I'm pumped for that. Oh, man. How many masks are you bringing to the Monster Fest?
Let me think. Sorry, I count on my fingers. Bigfoot, Chupacabra, Jersey Devil, Wendigo, Loveland Frogman. I might have a Yeti, and maybe I might get my Mothman made in time. I got a lot of work to do.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Where are you guys located out of again?
Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, that's perfect. So that's like right up the road for you guys. That's good stuff.
Well, my wife, I met her here in Columbus, but she actually is originally from Canton.
Wow.
Yeah. The Monster Fest is being held at the movie premiere the Friday night before Monster Fest is at the Palace Theater, and for as long as I've known her, she's raved about that theater and how cool it is, and so we're actually really excited to get up there, and she's going to show me around because I haven't actually been into that place before.
Oh, I'm pumped for it. I mean, I hear it's a beautiful theater. They're going to be playing a delightful Small Town Monsters film, which is going to be amazing. And I am super, super pumped for it. I mean, films all weekend, really, or mostly on Saturday. But, Cory, I'm curious, did you get into cryptids first or into the artisan side of things first?
Well, I was always into the weird stuff when I was younger. I liked aliens. I liked UFOs. I liked monsters and ghosts and Bigfoot and Loch Ness. And I always liked that stuff. But, at the same time, my parents basically let me watch whatever I wanted as a kid. And my dad was always into horror movies and sci-fi movies. So I grew up watching all the heavy practical effects movies of the 80s and 90s. And I actually originally wanted to be a special effects artist. I wanted to go to school for it. But then I realized in order for me to do that, I'd probably have to leave Ohio. And I didn't really want to move away from friends and family. And I'm going to get a little long-winded here, if that's okay.
Oh, please, let's party. Go for it.
Yeah. So I got really lucky, and a friend of a friend was at a party somewhere, and he met someone who was the manager for a company called Unit 70 Studios right here in Columbus, and they were looking to hire some new people, and they got word to me, and I started working there in June or July of 2013. And it's a company that makes props and animatronics for haunted houses. And, I was doing a lot of grunt work there, but I learned a lot, picked up everything I could from all the other coworkers. And, they directed me where I could buy the stuff to learn to make my own masks, because I always wanted to try it out, just give it a shot. And I just ordered stuff online and pulled up some YouTube videos and just started doing it. And, I worked for that company for about a year. And then jumped around a bit, and then I got another job at another company called Scare Factory, which is also here in Columbus. Same thing, props and animatronics for haunted houses, and I worked there till 2017, and I learned a lot more there from some of the artists. They really took me under their wing, showed me some neat tricks, really good techniques for getting in detail and stuff like that. And all the while at home, I was still making my own masks. And but at the time, I was just doing like original monster masks, just kind of making things up. And I did a couple conventions for these Halloween conventions, and I didn't do well. They didn't sell very well. And one day at a show, this would have been like 2018, 2019, maybe. Another mask maker came up and he said, your masks are really cool. Your prices are really good, but people want to buy what they know. And I was like, okay, so let's pivot here. And if I want to do something my own way and not just do copies of what everyone else was doing, zombies, clowns, vampires, what can I make? And, I went back to my roots of things that I really liked. And that was like cryptids. And I was like, well, let's give it a shot. I can kind of do what I want, but still, if I aim it the right way, people are going to know what it is. And I just started making cryptid masks, and we did the CryptidCon in 2019. And that was the very first like cryptid paranormal convention that we had ever done, and it was the best convention we did to date. And we decided, it's time for me to quit my day job and try to do this full time and really risk it. And my wife she's got a really good career, so we knew that we could afford to take the risk. And so I quit my job in September of 2019. We set up 14 conventions for 2020. Did all of 2, one in January, one in February. But I just been still working at it and chomping at the bit and coming up with new designs and new ideas. And now that things have kind of normalized, we've actually started becoming pretty successful, and it just keeps growing. Keep moving forward, keep growing.
That's amazing. Wouldn't it be great if like someone was listening to this in 50 or 60 years and they're like, man, why did he only do 2 out of the 12 conventions in 2020? I got to look that up on my Wikipedia VR in my chip in my head. We're not even going to tell you, dude. You just got to look it up.
Yeah, seriously.
Anyways, when you are designing one of your masks, I'm curious, is it just, it's all up in your head, or do you have certain resources that you like to go to for inspiration, or where are you getting the ideas for these creatures in your?
Well, it's always good to have reference pictures as best you can. Making stuff up out of your brain you can do it, and it's not difficult, but having reference pictures helps keep you from your mind wandering off on what you're doing. That being said, one of the things that I have stuck to very staunchly when I do my cryptid masks is I don't pull up pictures or artwork of the cryptids. I go and I find the eyewitness accounts and the descriptions, and I read those and I interpret those to my ability, and then use that as my biggest reference point. It helps me from just copying what another artist did. It allows me to kind of still stick to an original design. I did the Loveland Frogman, and there's a ton of Frogman artwork out there, but I looked at the original descriptions, and then I would use reference pictures of just frogs, to help guide that. But, I try to stick away from artwork that other people have done of the cryptids, because, I don't want to be too influenced by, it's too easy to accidentally copy someone in the art world. And that's not something I want to do. I want people to see my stuff and they go, oh yeah, that's that's a Seymour's mask. They know what it is, you know.
That is so cool. I always knew there was something there. I was like, man, first time I saw your masks in person at Crypticon, I was like, they look so like, just the way that he's made them, they look so real. They're awesome. And I was like, I got to talk to him someday about where he gets his ideas. And I love that you are actually going to eyewitness accounts. So let's say, for example, the Bigfoot mask. So like, what are you using for your which witness accounts did you look at for that?
I mean, to be honest, it's kind of like, you know, I really just like, I go to Google, I pull up just random ones, I kind of piece them together. There was no specific one. And that was the other thing. I didn't want to stick to like, oh, this was this person's specific description, and that's the only description I'm going off of. I really kind of moved around, and then I just use those kind of as rough guidelines. That's the fun and joy of what I do is I can play with it. I don't have to stick too hard to it, but yeah, I don't try to use anyone specific. I kind of blend it all together.
That's awesome. I love when artistry and cryptozoology intersect. It's just like we are the most, or I'd say cryptozoology artisans are the most creative group I've ever met of people. You know, I got to hang out with a group of them, and at Crypticon, we all went out and ate pizza, and just the nicest bunch of people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
Wanted to talk about, you had talked to me a little bit a few days ago about how you are actually involved with creating a full-sized Bigfoot costume for Small Town Monsters. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Seth Breedlove talked with me about how he's wanting to upgrade some of their suits, some of their costumes that they have for their B-roll. They're really wanting to get some B-roll for their movies that they can just like utilize throughout several of them. And he asked if it was something I'd be up for, and I haven't personally ever made a full bodysuit before. But I told him I'd be down for the task, and luckily I right before I quit my day job to do this, I worked for a company called Costume Specialist, which made mascots. Yeah, and so all of my masks, if you've seen them, they have most of them have fur. Well, I have a seamstress who was a coworker from that job who patterns and sews all the fur for me. And so she is working alongside with me to get these suits made. And we're attempting to do something. I'm not Hollywood level. That's, I know that I'm not quite there yet. Maybe one day, but I'm not Hollywood level. Yeah. But I had no interest in making something that just looked like a fur suit. So one of the things that we're actually doing is we are utilizing a muscle suit that fits under the fur. And it actually utilizes some floating muscles so that when they're not fully like encapsulated into the suit, part of it is, and then part of it lays over top of other muscle segments. So when the body moves, you actually see those muscles moving under and over each other. Really? Yeah. Wow. That's the theory. That's the theory that we're going with. And, we're still working on it. It being a brand new thing that I've never done and she's never done outside of work. We're really working together on trying to make sure we get it done right. But there's a bit of a learning curve to it, a bit of process to doing something you've never done before, but it's going really well. I'm currently sculpting, or almost finished sculpting and ready to mold two separate Bigfoot masks. They'll have hands and feet, of course. You know, and I don't know how much I'm allowed to tell. He Seth, so Seth was the first one to mention that I was doing these suits for him on another podcast.
Right.
Which tells me it's okay for me to talk about it, but I don't know how much I'm supposed to give away or whatnot. But, but I'm working on those for him, and we've worked together a little bit in the past. He purchased back in 2019. He purchased my Mothman mask for one of his documentaries, but ended up on the cutting room floor. Just the style of film that he ended up leaning into, it didn't work with what he was going with, but he purchased another one for the Bell Witch documentary he did. You can only see it in a few silhouette scenes in the background, but it was really cool. It's really cool to work with him. I'm excited. I think we have a lot more work in the future. He has thrown out the idea that if these suits work out and he's happy with them, we might be doing some more suits after that. So
that's awesome. I'm going to throw some questions your way because that's my job, and then you can throw it back in my face if you want. So I'm just really curious. So are you using Patty as a reference for this, or is it going to be like, we'll look at it and maybe it'll look a little familiar, but it's not going to be like, this isn't going to be like hoax Patty, like.
I mean, Patty is like the best reference to use if you're doing Bigfoot. I mean, it's the most, it's of all of the photographic and film evidence, it's the best we got so far, I think. And I think not using it as at least some form of reference for this, I'd be doing a disservice. It's not a hard line, reference. I'm not trying to copy it. I'm making this thing my own. I'm trying to find that in between primate and human features that we think we see in them. It's tough sometimes though, because it's very, it's all vague, all the photos, all the images, all the descriptions. I mean, you have two people that see this, have the exact same encounter, and then they give you two different descriptions of what they saw. And, so that is the fun though of doing these cryptid masks and these suits, and I'm not wrong in my design.
True. It feels like it could almost be a rabbit, like the ultimate rabbit hole going down, because it's like, okay, you have to make feet. How long are you going to just focus on the feet? Because you could go down the crazy rabbit hole and you could be like, oh, I got to contact Dr. Meldrum now and be like, did I do all right? The mid-tarsal break, and no one's ever going to see the foot. And it's like, how far do you let yourself go? I mean, it's crazy.
I have done a little bit, just a little bit. I've assisted in some special effects work for a small independent film. And I've got to see stuff that I have had my hand in assisting with, and then see the footage afterwards. And it's surprising how little of the work you put into it that you actually end up seeing. It's I think I know that you don't want to be too obsessive with a lot of the smaller things. I mean, the feet need to look good, but making sure that, there are, the dermal ridges, like fingerprints on the toes, like there's no reason to get to that level. You're never going to see that in film. I think the faces are going to be the most important part. And one of the things that I'm really excited is I'm going to be trying flocking on these ones to break up because with most of my masks, it's the fur just stops and then you have the latex, skin. And I don't want to do that with these ones. I want to have that transition from fur to skin to be smoother. So I'm going to be utilizing flocking to break that edge line up. And do you know what flocking is?
I don't. I was about to ask you actually.
So easy reference is if you remember when you were a little kid and you would have one of these toys that was supposed to be like an animal that was hard plastic, but it had like a velvety fur.
Yes, absolutely.
That's flocking. And
wow.
The way that's done is you create an electrical charge on the surface that you want to attach the flocking. You put down a layer of glue or contact cement where it's going, and then you use a flocking gun, which I can't remember if it negatively or positively charges these. It's basically just really short, tiny hairs. And so when you use the flocking gun, when they land onto the surface of the mask, they stand straight up on end. And what that does is it creates that like velvety texture. And they're all standing just straight up. They're really tiny, and that'll help break up that line from the long fur to just the skin. And I think it'll give it really cool features and good for close-ups.
That will be, I can't think of another film that would have that detail built into the costume. And I'm sure Adam from Bigfoot Film Appreciation Circle is going to message me and be like, well, actually, oh man, that guy.
Yeah.
He's coming on the podcast one day. He's going to let me know when he's good. And we're going to talk about old school Bigfoot VHS films because he's the guru with that. Anyways, that's another show. But man, that's fascinating. I didn't know there was that much work that went into that toy I had when I was a little kid that I'm picturing.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's nuts. The one thing, I'm trying to picture the Bigfoot costume of the future in my head, and you got a good point. Probably a lot of focus is going to be on the face. I also see that for some reason, what keeps popping out to me is like the length of the arms. If the length of the arms isn't right, I think it would take me right out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but it's like that arm length that everyone says it's longer arms, right?
Yeah. And, it's like, and then you have to, like for me, how much of an extension do I want to do? Do I want to take the actor's hand out of the equation? Because like, are we going to make it so long that they have to manipulate something to have fake hands, or is it going to be trick photography? I mean, you're not always going to get actors that are 7.5, 8 feet tall to walk through the woods wearing a suit for you. Sometimes the best you can get is a 6 foot tall friend of yours, and you just have to use forced perspective and good shots. So it's getting a really good, like accurate Bigfoot suit to what the way the descriptions are, like you're moving into the Hollywood territory of special effects. And when you do that, you start adding zeros to the cost of the suit.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. In your research, are you looking at like the old school Planet of the Apes costumes at all?
I wasn't,
like
but that's not a bad idea. No, I like I said, I look at the Patty images. I also watch a lot of Bigfoot movies just to see what others have done and how it looks. Some good ones and some really bad ones, and it's really interesting what other suit makers focused on, and the things that they decided were important, and the things that they didn't, and how they did what they did. And I mean, even for this suit that I'm working on, just to help us out to make sure that we're going in the right direction, I purchased from the Stan Winston School They have a DVD course for doing the muscle suits, and their example muscle suit is for a Bigfoot suit. So,
Really?
yeah, it's a nice little shortcut that we were able to utilize with that to just kind of help direct us. I mean, we're not going to copy it exactly, but we're definitely using it as a good reference for what we're going to be trying to do.
Well, if the master is going to say, here's some info about like this, and it has to do with a Bigfoot suit, I'm probably going to be like, I'll take a look at it. You know,
Yeah.
I'd be foolish not to.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you'd been watching different Bigfoot movies to look at the suits. So are there any that come to mind for like, wow, that movie had a really good suit, or that movie had a not so good example of a suit?
I mean, it's hard. It's a kids / family movie, but it's hard not to like love the Harry and the Hendersons Bigfoot suit.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
So
that
good.
is a childhood favorite of mine. You know, it didn't hurt that they had what was his name?
He was a very tall gentleman, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
He also played the Predator in the first Predator movie.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt having a really tall actor to play the part, but like that's a fantastic suit. But let me think. Big Legend had a really nice Bigfoot suit. I really like that one. One that I think it's almost bad. It's almost bad to the point that I love it. Is the suit from Abominable?
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I'll have to look that up.
I love Abominable. It is a fantastically good bad movie in my opinion. It is Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window meets Bigfoot. I love it. The suit is it's well done, like quality wise, it's really well done, but style wise, it's very exaggerated and kind of outlandish. Like Bigfoot's face is way too big for his body. Like it's just like it's massive compared to the rest of him.
Nice.
Like it's bad in my opinion. It's as a Bigfoot suit, it's bad in its design, but I still love it.
Oh, I can't wait for the YouTube comments on this. The Abominable fanboys are going to be like, what? That's terrible. Get this guy out of here. I love it. I'm going to check it out, though. I got to ask you, I usually ask all the people I talk to this, but I'm curious. So you've been thinking about Bigfoot a lot over the years, especially now. What are your thoughts as to what the creature is that we're dealing with?
Well, you know, I'm a believer. I've never encountered anything to tell me that it exists personally. But I think that the amount of evidence, eyewitness accounts, video, photographs, the amount of them, it's too unlikely that it is all hoaxes and misidentifications. I think that it is a genetic cousin to humans. It probably evolved right beside us, along with chimps and gorillas and all the other great apes. And my money is that it witnessed just how brutal humans are and decided that its best survival tactic was to remain hidden, to hide from us. You know, I mean, you have one of the most elusive animals on the planet that has, I mean, there is so much land.
Yeah.
Even just in North America alone, that is not been seen by a person to talk about it. There's plenty of places for things to exist that we have yet to see. But on top of that, like, humans are kind of dicks. Like
Well, we totally are. Yeah. There's no
I
way
mean,
around that. Yeah.
we don't really mesh well with nature.
Yeah.
We've kind of removed ourselves. Even prehistoric man moved himself away from nature as much as he could. And if I was a tribe of primates that was as intelligent as we can assume they must be, witnessing these other primates that are just killing everything and cutting down all the trees and everything, like I'd probably go hiding too. Like I don't think I'd want to be discovered by them. And I think that they're right there along side by side cousins with us, and they're probably very intelligent. They probably have tool usage, but not to the point that they have to make anything that's permanent.
I agree with you 100% on the tool usage. I mean, if you listen to Apes Among Us podcast with NAWAC guys out of Area X, they have actually found, I forget the exact name they have for them, but they're pretty much stations where it's a large flat rock, and there's another rock where you can tell that something has been picking up the rock and smashing it down into a large gathering of acorns that they're splitting.
Yeah.
And this is a large rock that's being picked up. I mean, it's not a squirrel that's doing it, guys. I mean, obviously, if that's a squirrel, though, it's game over for sure.
Squirrel scotch.
Squirrel squatch. Someone make it. Someone make it. But yeah, I agree with you that there definitely is some smarts there. Tool usage. I mean, they've probably found in other places some. I know that the Olympic projects, yeah, Shane found some stuff too. He found there's like the rock clacking and stuff. Man, and it's crazy to think about, we think that we've civilized the entire United States. We definitely haven't. That's something that I've learned from doing this show for almost 5 years. There are areas in the Pacific Northwest no one has seen. There's areas in Oklahoma that are extremely remote. It's crazy. There's even areas in Ohio that, I mean, you could probably say it's remote, but I mean, you've got places like Salt Fork.
Yeah. Well, I talked with Cliff Barrickman.
Okay.
And he told me that Ohio is ranked 5th in the country for Bigfoot sightings, and number 1 east of the Mississippi.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we're the Appalachian Trail cuts through parts of Ohio, and I mean, there's a lot of wilderness that I think we as a people like to glaze over in our minds, because to actually think about the fact that we are actually surrounded by massive areas of wilderness that people don't live in, I think is a lot scarier for some people to accept. If you're not in a city, like, you're not that far from a lot of wild animals. And I mean, even in the suburbs, there are animals that have learned to like travel without anyone even seeing them. I mean, most of the time people don't realize that there are possums and raccoons in their neighborhood, and it's like you think you're in the city, but you're still in the wilderness. You're not actually detached. You're still there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. As humans, we go into our houses, turn on the lights, everything is fine. We can tune it all out. But in reality, we're about a week and a half from everything just, like,
Yeah.
okay, we won't get too crazy, but let's say the power is just like boom, no more power. How long would it take for just everything to be like boom, it's
Oh
game
yeah.
over, it's party time. You better start surviving, and then the Bigfoot come back in, and they're like, "Okay, remember us? We're back."
That's a movie I'd see. Bigfoot
That that
Apocalypse.
would be a great movie, though. If someone wants to make it. Oh man, Bigfoot Apocalypse. Oh, that would be so cool. Yeah, I don't think that one's been made.
No.
Yeah, let's someone do that. That would be rock and roll. Have you heard, or speaking of Ohio Bigfoot stuff, do you have like a favorite Ohio Bigfoot story that you've heard from living there, or anything like that?
You know, I wish I did. I have. I don't think I've actually ever heard an eyewitness account from anyone directly.
Mm.
I'm a city mouse. I've lived almost my entire life within 20 minutes of downtown Columbus.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, there were areas I lived where I was just like a few miles from the farmlands, but like it was still town. And so no, unfortunately, I don't have any good stories in regards to that, and I really wish I did. We did the Salt Fork Bigfoot conference. Was it like a week and a half ago or something like that? Almost 2 weeks ago. And originally, me and my wife and a few of my friends, we rented a cabin for that weekend. And originally, I was like, oh, you know what we should do? We should go out into the Salt Fork and do a little squatching and see if we can find anything.
Oh man.
And then it occurred to me, I'm like, everyone that's staying out here this weekend is going to be out in the woods. And so I have to assume every noise I hear is just another person squatching. Yeah. So I want to plan a weekend, maybe later in the summer, to go out there and see what I can find, see if I can discover anything. Cliff also said there's a place south of Columbus, on your way towards Cincinnati, Beaver Creek. He said if you want to hear Bigfoot, he said go down to Beaver Creek, set up in the campground, just set up a tent out in the woods, and turn off the lights. And he said you'll hear them. You'll hear the knocks, you'll hear the footsteps, you'll hear the noises they make. It's like, just go out there, be quiet, just like you, maybe two people. And I'm like, I don't know if I actually want to do that,
Cory,
like,
you have to do it. You got to do it. That's amazing. Oh man, dude! If anyone listening to this has done that, let me know what you encountered in the comments. That sounds so. Beaver Creek in Ohio.
Yeah,
man, that's wild. How far away from northwest Ohio are you?
Well, Columbus is basically the center, so
okay. Gotcha.
So you were talking about heading toward Cleveland, or are you talking about more towards?
More towards. Oh man, this is my geography is failing rapidly. Is it Indiana that's to your west?
West, to my west.
So up towards Indiana in the northern western corner.
Probably about 3 hours, maybe a little less.
I was thinking the guys you got to go out with, which would be awesome, are the Cryptids of the Corn guys.
Oh yeah, those guys are awesome.
That would be rocking, dude. Oh man, I want to see the Cory and Cryptids of the Corn Beaver Creek extravaganza. That would be amazing.
Those guys are awesome.
Oh, I'm so pumped to see them coming up in 10 days. It's going to be a good time. Good dudes for sure. Man, this has been a super fun chat. Before we go, there's a question that I thought of a while back and I didn't get to ask it. Is there something that makes Columbus like, is it a weird city, or like what are the chances there's two like Halloween haunted house prop type. Is there any reason for that, or just happens to be that those businesses are in there?
So here's what I'll say about Columbus.
All right.
I love Columbus. Columbus is my favorite place. I don't think I'd ever want to live anywhere away from Columbus. As it has been described to me by the many other artists that I have met while living here, Columbus is the art capital of the world. And the way it's explained is, we have CCAD, that is that's our art school here. So we have a school that is dedicated to art, from clothing to digital to physical woodworking. I mean, just about every type of artistry you can imagine, the school here teaches. We probably have one of the highest artist populations, maybe outside of New York.
Wow.
On top of that, Columbus is also the largest test market in the United States. Anytime a product is ever needing to be tested on whether or not it will do well, it is tested here in Columbus before it's tested anywhere else. So we get all the first things, and it's kind of sad though, because a lot of times I'll find something brand new that I really like, and then it just disappears.
Oh, so like all the weird food at restaurants, and then oh man, that would be rocking.
I think Columbus breeds weirdness, and I think it really embraces that. It's to the point where I even created my own tag group on Facebook. Ohio is weird.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good reason. I was hoping it wasn't like, well, the whole place is haunted and it's like Ghostbusters, but 10 times worse. I'm glad it's just because there's a ton of artists there.
There might be some of that too. There's a lot of Native American burial grounds that have been built over. So.
Oh, cool. Oh, well, good job, Columbus settlers. You really messed that up good.
To be fair, it is called Columbus.
I get it. The light bulb was just like, ding. That's amazing. Oh, Cory, I am looking forward to seeing you again in about 10 days from time of recording. It's going to be a good time at Monster Fest. But before we go, do you mind taking a few minutes and sharing with the listeners how they can keep up to date with what you're doing, how they can pick up one of your masks, all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So best places to follow us is Instagram and Facebook. Just Seymour's Captive Cryptids on both of those platforms. I also have an Etsy page for now. I think Etsy is kind of dying a little bit. But we also have a website, which is just Seymour'sCaptiveCryptids.com. You can find all of our stuff on there. That's pretty much it.
Fantastic. Well, best of luck with you in your endeavor to make an amazing Bigfoot suit for Small Town Monsters. I'll be looking forward to seeing the finished result. And thanks for coming on today, Cory.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been my pleasure.